How you doing, guys? Welcome back. It's LSP. It's currently the 23rd of December 2021. So today I'm going to be going through a full breakdown of the Wealth App tokens of interest for the Hollywood squad over at the DAO for Swissborg. Before I get into the analysis, please remember this isn't financial advice, guys. I'm just kind of going through this stuff because one, I absolutely love it, and two, somebody needs to do analysis, right? Doing analysis is very important. It's a process that, we all use on a daily basis. It's not just about trading or investing. We analyze a lot of things in life. And I think going through this process, especially when it comes to investing money, is important. And we each have our own way of doing that. Sometimes we trust other people. Sometimes we look at friends and family to get their advice. Sometimes we do our own research when it comes to actually looking at charts, doing fundamental analysis, news, reading, going to the company itself, getting the details from them. There's a lot of information out there, but ultimately you're the one that has to pull the trigger, and the reason why the disclaimers at the beginning of every video is because I never want to be responsible, for giving you guys a thumbs up or a thumbs down on any investment. Ultimately the analysis that I do, although very good and on point, should be a guide to helping you do the same, not to help you pull the trigger. So with that said, I'm going to start with Bitcoin and we'll just kind of run through them. I always like to start with the weekly chart, so everything's been refreshed. The only chart I haven't refreshed is the Swissborg chart. We use that for the smart talk, and everybody's aware of these levels, so I will leave that alone, but everything else is pretty much reset. So we'll start with Bitcoin. I like to start, like I said, with the weekly and just get a general feel for the initial area of liquidity that price is sitting in. Okay, and we can see, and I'll run through these pretty quickly, and I've already gone through these as a quick overglance. You'll notice that there's actually quite a lot of the Wealth App tokens that are not doing what Bitcoin's doing. Some of them are showing strength, some of them are doing nothing, and some of them are going down effectively. So we have a good range to work with. So Bitcoin, we have this large liquidity pool here. Prices since it came into this liquidity pool, and then we're just kind of resting above it now, potentially accumulating potentially accumulating buy side liquidity. If we just drop down to the daily to see what that looks like, there is a small imbalance. I'll say that, but no, it's been rebalanced. So we're effectively stuck between two fractals. We have this lower level down here, and then there is also what I would imagine to be, this is an interesting candle right here, this one. So let's make that red because it's sell side liquidity. So if price comes back up, okay, it starts to run to the upside, obviously it's taking out these highs on the way up, so it'll be clearing up any liquidity that's been building up above these highs. And we're looking around about sort of 53.6, okay, to the upside. I would expect some sort of a reaction at that level. In terms of where we're going now, I mean, it is Christmas, things are very slow. We had the initial drop here, obviously, and we've been going sideways ever since. So there's not really much to discuss on Bitcoin in the way of what I would be expecting, up or down. What? No, block. So let me just quickly see. Yeah, no, I'm not going to call anything on Bitcoin. I'm just going to kind of leave it. I did call the 42 down here. We came to 45. I was expecting 42, but we've not since come down to take this low yet. So we just have to be patient, wait for Bitcoin to do something, then we take it from there. Sometimes it's always best to wait for, when charts are neutral like this and they start going sideways, we need that injection of volatility to give us an idea what's going to happen next. So we'll go over to Ethereum. Ethereum's actually showing a little bit more strength compared to Bitcoin. There's nothing really to pay attention to on the downside. There is this here, okay, which is buy side liquidity. So that's not bad. Only tapped into that slightly, just hovering above it. So it's actually showing a little bit of relative strength. And I would imagine any movement on Bitcoin to the upside is probably going to push Ether to the upside. So Ethereum's probably going to run, a lot quicker than pretty much everything else. Meaning, if Bitcoin starts to turn and starts to run up with some conviction, I think if Ethereum is going to front run that very, very quickly. So it might start to move before Bitcoin moves. Okay, so keep an eye on Ethereum. Downside, I'm not really seeing any downside on this at the moment. The only way Ethereum is going to go down is if Bitcoin really takes a shit dive. Other than that, it's unlikely. It'll probably just continue to grind sideways until it either front runs Bitcoin, or Bitcoin starts to turn and this goes with it. So that's Ethereum. CHSB, again, not really much to discuss on CHSB. I will be going through this in the Smart Talk on Thursday, which is today, actually, the 23rd of the 12th. That will be at 6:30 GMT time. So, you're all welcome to join, obviously, in the Swissborg Discord server. It's under Smart Talk. Me and Ben will be having a chat. It'll just be freestyle, just a nice chill before Christmas. So, if you can make it, please do. But we've got this liquidity down here on the daily, and this is a weekly liquidity pool. We've been sat in this for such a long time, accumulating buy-side liquidity. We've had a little bit of a dip, just tapped into the daily, which was expected. I mean, I did say this quite a while ago, but it took a long time to get there. The reaction away from this is very muted. So again, I maintain what I've been saying on CHSB for quite some time. It has shifted flow to the upside, but it needs a pretty decent injection of volatility to really get this going. And I don't mean buybacks or burns or anything like this. I just mean it needs a serious injection of volatility to just get it going. And then we can start to sort of challenge that $1 level, which has become the key area on the chart. So there's your Swissborg. Binance. Let's go back up to the weekly on Binance. Again, Binance showing a little bit more strength relative to Bitcoin in the general market. We've got this pullback, obviously. We have this all-time high. At some point, Binance is going to take out this all-time high. This is a given. But right now, we are seeing some slowdown. It is a bit clearer, actually, on Binance. This here. Which could be dipped into, okay? So just pay attention to these levels down here. That's 486. Well, basically 438 to 486. This is a nice spot down here. I'm going to make a note of this like this. Something to pay attention to. I'm not saying it will go down there, but it's something to pay attention to. Upside, again, probably needs Bitcoin to get this moving. But as a hunch, and this is just a hunch, I would expect Binance maybe dips a little. There is a very small area here. Note it like this. There's a very small area there that what I would expect, or at least I'll say it differently, what I would like to see as confirmation that this lower level liquidity pool is in play is for Binance to run up, hit this level, okay, which is basically 560 to 570, give or take, and then reverse and start to come back down. If that happens, we're coming here, okay? So pay attention to those two levels, and that's what I'm going to be looking at on Binance. I don't particularly trade Binance. I only use it as a swap token, so or to swap for tokens, should I say. But in terms of actually buying, or investing in Binance, it's not a bad spot, to be fair. Again, that's not financial advice. I'm just talking about where it is relative to the weekly and everything else in the market, including Bitcoin. So XRP, again, let's go up to the weekly. Yep, did tap into the liquidity. But again, first dip, this is buy side. Sorry if you can hear the clicks, guys. I need to get a quieter mouse. Nice run. Again, not something that I would be considering, looking at or paying attention to. I'm not really seeing anything major. I know it looks like it's breaking out to the upside, and it may maintain this level for a while. But for me, things like XRP, they're just those things. They're the types of coins or tokens or whatever. You just kind of put a little bit in and just leave it, forget about it. I've got absolutely no interest in XRP. I've always been like that, really, with with XRP or Ripple, I believe it is. But in terms of liquidity, like I said, there's no imbalances on the way back up. So if this starts to go, and really gain some legs, it's not going to have any problems going through all of this. Most of the major ones over here, really. But we're so far away from that. I mean, is it really worth mentioning? No. We'll leave it on the chart for now. It is sell side, so we'll do that. And again, not much else I'm seeing. So the Polygon or MATIC weekly. Yeah. Now we've already basically challenged all-time high on MATIC. So for me, this is, I forget about this now. There's nothing to look at. There's nothing to pay attention to. And this is just the way that I am. You can see we had a lot of mess going into this, challenge of all-time high. And the fact that it's hovering up here, anything can happen really. If it just explodes up, it's probably going to come straight back down. If it starts to run to the downside, the only place that I would even be remotely interested in is down here around about sort of 225. But again, is it something that I'd be comfortable grabbing here? Absolutely not. What I don't like, and you guys probably don't ever see me do this, but what I don't like is this I don't like. Yeah, when you have clean levels like this, yeah, they generally tend to get taken out. So if it does happen, it's possible we could see 145 on MATIC, but this is way outside the scope of this video. But just bear that in mind. This is just something, I don't know, I guess for experience and having looked at charts for so long, this doesn't feel right to me, seeing all of these equal trend line lows. And again, I'll just make a reference to it like this. I know I'm going through them. I don't like stuff like this. Yeah, there's something just doesn't look right on this for me. But again, it could be anything. Not something that I'd be particularly interested in keeping an eye on at the moment. UOS. Again, let's go up to the weekly. Yeah, capitulated here. Nice reversal or correction. And then we're just kind of hovering here. So again, one of two things. You're either going to get this sideways slop and then a move to the upside, or sideways slop and a move to the downside. It's one of those two. If it goes down, the first level it's going to be reaching for is basically going to be just there. And if it goes to the upside, then there's a lot of this to get through. Imbalances, key areas, little pockets of liquidity that we'll need to just plug. Little pockets of imbalances that it would need to plug on the way back up. But because it's had a nice run already, it's going to take a little bit of time to clear, this capitulated move. PAX sideways. Not much to discuss on PAX, so I'll just leave it. Effectively, it's going sideways. Engine, one of my favorites actually. Yeah. So for engine, and actually I'll make a reference to it like this. I would say just here. Let's make this like this, and then we will make the line very thick. So for engine, above 3 is a key crossover point. If price gets back above this convincingly and holds, then I would expect a new range to be created, to potentially start to challenge, the newly created all-time high. But in the meantime, we have this area down here, which is buy-side liquidity. On the upside, it's just this. It is sitting right in the middle of a liquidity pool. But again, is it something to pay attention to or make a note of? Not really. The most important level is this one. So price needs to get back above this. So in terms of actually doing anything with this, me personally, if I was looking to do anything with engine, it either would have been down here when price started to settle and first get that initial impulse to the upside, or just wait for price to come down here if it ever does again, but because there's got this, because we've got this key crossover point, for me, it has to get through this. Otherwise, I've got no interest in doing anything with engine. So that's engine. The Kyber network, this is one of the weaker ones. This is something I was looking at earlier. This is actually quite interesting. So we've got buy side there, hasn't been tapped into. We have this is quite interesting actually. We have just here a secondary level within this primary liquidity pool, what you can see price dipped into just there and then started to run to the upside. So this is very significant, to make a clear distinction between these two liquidity pools and the one that really matters. I'm going to make it yellow. So if price starts to run lower, there is something that I would expect to see probably here. Okay, price run up, hit this level, maybe go through it a little bit, reverse and start to come back down. If it does that, again, this is where I would expect price to want to drive for. And this would be literally on a daily basis. I'll be just watching this on a daily basis to see how close we are to running up, taking out that small pocket there, running into this imbalance or balanced price range in this case, sorry, and then reversing. And as it starts to run back lower, and revisit the place where it impulsed, that's when I'd be paying attention to, okay, now I want to see it down here. And remember, this is all a process of watching price unfold how you expect. And if it doesn't mean I'm just going to buy it here, but it gives me more confidence, and confirmation that it's probably going to end up down here in this, secondary liquidity pool within the primary. So that's the most important, area down here, probably around about 85. Will it go there? I'm not sure yet. But again, it's a question of just being patient, and waiting to see if this level gets hit first and then a reversal. Compound, a little bit more confidence that price does want to go here on compound. It is weak. It is showing signs that it wants to go lower. Let's take a look at the daily. There's nothing really on the upside that looks interesting at all. If it runs up and hits this small area here, maybe between 240 and 260, then again, I'd expect a reversal. In terms of upside, this would really need to start to go, for me to consider doing anything with this. There's so many imbalances over here, but I think the draw on price is down here actually. So I would be expecting 156, and again, confirmation based trade, I wouldn't do anything until price hits this level. So this is the key area down here. If we just go back to the weekly, that's what I'm looking for. And that would be a complete resetting of price and objective fulfillment down here. So it makes sense that it would want to go there. And it's showing all the signs that it does want to go there as well, especially if Bitcoin starts to turn to the downside again, and drive towards that 45,000 level. So AAVE or AAVE or RV, however you say it, so many different ways to say it. If that low hadn't have been taken out by that candle right there, then I'd be interested in this. But as it stands right now, I'm not seeing anything interesting. So we shall move on. Ren. Interesting. Okay, so we had a first initial response away from that level. It's hit the upper level here, which is not actually the green candle that it's hitting. It's this red one here. So it's dipped in. It's almost rebalanced. I know, and I apologize, guys. I know I ramble, and you guys may not understand some of the things that I say, but this is just the way that I see price. So yeah, it is balanced. So is this enough? If that candle gets reversed, this impulse, the price comes back down to 50. I would expect a deeper run into this liquidity pool, probably around about the 40 level. Other than that, I'm not seeing any continuation to the upside, though, to be fair, either. There's not really much in the way of upside. There's a lot of mess for it to get through. So, this chart basically, it's one of those situations where you end up being in something, and then because you've committed and you can't really get out, you just leave it forever. Basically, that's what this chart looks like to me. So we're going to leave it not forever, but for now, and we will revisit this when the time is needed. Polkadot, oof. Sorry guys, that is a disgusting chart. Moving on. AUDIUS, one of Cyrus's favorites. Yeah, just there. So again, key area to be paying attention to 124 to 1. So $1 to 124 or 125. That's a nice spot, I think. For AUDIUS, and then we'll just kind of. This is more for me just being anal, guys, but right there. So 108, 107, 108. Could run up a little bit, challenge this small imbalance. But the higher time frame weekly is pushing to the downside, so this is where I would expect price to want to go to for the at some point. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be this year, but we'll see. BAT, no good. Chili's already absorbed the liquidity. The only other place that is down here, basically, where the initial impulse was. Very messy. Not interested. Don't even need to go down to the daily on that one. Curve, again, Curve's had a pretty decent run of late. You know, nice drop here, takes out everything, dips into this, takes out this low. Nice impulse to the upside, revisits, grabs liquidity, buy side, starts to run again, clears the range here, and this will probably maintain this level until Bitcoin starts to gain some legs, or the general market sentiment, you know, is more risk on, people putting more money into the market, investing a bit more, and we should start to see a little bit more upside. But I am liking Curve in terms of a longer term play. But in terms of entries or entry points, not really seeing anything. It would have to basically hold all of this just there. All right. So as long as we stay within this range, okay, it's good. If it gets through this range, there's this to get through, and then there's this to get through, and it just becomes very messy, very sloppy. But this ain't a bad spot, really. But I would want to see it come all the way down to at least this right here. Okay. I wouldn't do anything with this until it at least hits that level, which is effectively around about 445 to 450. All right. Zgraph. Take a look at the weekly. Messy. The level that it would. Nah, do you know what? Messy. Sorry, guys. I'm moving on. Chain link. Already dipped in, tiny little bit of liquidity left, but again, messy. Occam, pointless talking about because we already know how that chart looks. You know, this is more of a 10-year down the line investment. Really, this is never going to be a trading chart. Uniswap. We're just seeing a lot more. We're seeing this is becoming a a common theme. Price running down. Hovering around where it's already been. There's nothing really down here that price would need to want to pick up. I'm seeing a little bit of sell side pressure or sell side liquidity accumulation on Uniswap. So daily wise, tapped in. Yeah, again, nothing clearly definable and nothing that I'm like, wow, this is an amazing chart. So we'll keep moving on. Utrust, sorry, Ro, I know you really love this, but I'm seeing absolutely nothing on Utrust, so moving on. The Sandbox, obviously had a really, really nice run. It was in the news for quite a lot. Social media people were talking about and continue to talk about Sandbox. But for me, again, very similar to, I believe it was, very similar to UOS. Okay, in the way that it's forming. We had this massive impulse to the upside, huge capitulation, reverses, and then obviously we're just kind of grinding where we're grinding now. This is one of those situations, again, where you kind of, this is one of those situations, where you have to kind of let price settle a little bit. But I would prefer to see a second run into this liquidity pool, so at least $4.50 to $4 in terms of sweet spot for this, and if I was going to do anything with this, I'd be splitting my entries basically, from here and then anything lower. So yeah, not bad on the Sandbox, but again, bit of patience. And I think that's it, guys. So we've kind of gone through. I know there may be another couple, but the charts are they're not showing up properly, and that's why they're not on here. I believe there's 2 more, if my memory serves. So that's the analysis on pretty much every token so far in the Wealth app. There are some to keep an eye on. Obviously, running into Christmas now, there's not really much, to pay attention to. Christmas period does slow down a lot. There are some things to be mindful of going into the new year, obviously, and ideally, the scenario is as we continue to go through the Christmas period and things really slow down and then start to pick up in, January, sort of second week of January, it would be nice to see some of these charts in the levels that we've noted. Then we can start to think about maybe doing something with those. And with that said, if I don't speak to you before Christmas, I hope everybody has an absolutely fantastic Christmas. You will speak to me before the new year, obviously, or I will speak to you guys in the form of video before the new year, but probably not before Christmas Day. Yeah. So again, wishing everybody a very, very happy and very healthy Christmas. And I look forward to speaking to you guys in the next update. Take care.